Nine Charles Street is a horror game where you play as a child named Armin investigating an abandoned house haunted by the souls that were murdered there by a man who turned them into dolls. The game begins with one of the victims of the killer trying to find a rope to escape from the house but falls to the ground and becomes unconscious, partly because he does not tie the rope to anything. We are then switched to another child living just next to the abandoned house, spying on it with binoculars, believing that his neighbor who went missing is somehow inside it. Against the wishes of his parents, he goes to investigate the house through an open hole. Once entering, strange things start to occur, such as the lights flickering on and off and hearing weird noises from the doors, and the most creepy thing of all being a doll with blood dripping out of his eyes residing inside a closet. Freaked out, the child runs away, but midway through he realizes that he left his hat behind, and if he does not retrieve it, then his mom would whoop his ass. Going back to retrieve it, the doll comes alive and leaves a message in place of his hat telling him that he wants to play, followed by a maniacal, high-pitched, light Yagami's laugh. Child then further investigates the house, finding disfigured body of the boy that we probably play as in the beginning, asking for food, and when we bring him the plate we find out that he is in fact dead. Exploring further, he comes across a room that looks like the inside of a surgery theater and finds notes from the neighbor with the initials BR who writes about morchalia, a doll that was made from real human body parts that came alive but had no real soul. Some pretty creepy stuff. We then go back to the room from the beginning of the game to find the spirit of a boy with no hands, and he explains that the spirits of other children who became victims of the doll maker have locked the house so that you cannot escape, as they need to finish the doll maker's work by ripping out our heart and putting it inside of mortualia, so that she can have a soul and that perhaps it will set the other children free from the house. In order to open the lock, we need to find the keys hidden inside the toys that the doll maker gave to the 9 children whose body parts he used to make the cursed doll. The child collects all the keys but one, with the final one being hidden inside the basement buried with the dead body of a girl whose eyes are missing. Taking the keys, the child successfully escapes but feels guilty that he could not do anything to make the trapped soul feel at peace, and the morchalia doll still roams the floors of the awful house. The game mostly takes inspiration from a real-life case of Anatoly Moskovin, who, although did not kill anyone, made dolls from real human bodies. Anatoly Moskovin is a Russian former linguist, philologist, and historian who was arrested in 2011 after the mummified bodies of 26 girls and women between the ages of 3 and 29 were discovered in his apartment. He exhumed the bodies from the local cemeteries and dressed them up and posed them around his house. His parents, who shared the apartment with him, knew of the bodies but mistook them for large dolls. When asked why he had done this, he answered that he felt sympathy for the dead children and thought that they could be brought back to life with black magic. He considered them as his own children, watching cartoons with them, singing songs with them, and even celebrated holidays with them. In the game, there's not much information on a doll maker other than that he was a lonesome child who started to make dolls as a way to replace friends but found that they eventually came to life somehow. This led to him in making the Mortualia doll, who will act as the perfect creation made from the best body parts of different children that he kidnapped and murdered, luring them in through the use of toys that they all eventually came to adore. These toys held secret messages as to which body part will be taken from them. He completed the doll, but eventually it proved to be out of control, having no heart to drive it to reality, but before he could find the heart for the doll, he mysteriously disappeared with no trace, and the house became haunted from the trapped spirits who feel that they could escape if they finished the doll maker's work by putting the heart inside of the doll. Of course, they fail to do that and eventually have to wait in the hell that the doll maker placed them in, patiently waiting for someone who could free them from this torture.